Hello, wonderful people. I'm Sam, and welcome back to the second episode of my complete beginner's guide to Prehistoric Kingdom. As you may remember, last time we ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger because we just put in our first animals, but we've got this big red alert that says there's no accessible food in the enclosure. So let's go right ahead and fix that. Firstly, I'm gonna pause the game so the raptors don't go starving while we fix things up for them. And then let's look at getting them some food. If we click on one of the raptors, let's click on Arpon here. We can go to their Paleopedia directly from here. And we can immediately see what kind of food and drink and everything else they like. We can see they have 3 diets. They like fish, bugs and meat. And directly from here we can go into the modular menu and get those feeders for them. So let's start by placing a couple of those in. Let's maybe put in a nice insect feeder right here. Looks nice. And maybe a meat feeder over here by their stable so they don't have to walk too far every time they're hungry. And then maybe a fish feeder over here by the lake. And oh no, that messed up the lake. So let's go back a second and turn on off flatten terrain. There we go. Now we're not messing up the shape of the lake. Yeah. I think for good measure, I'm just gonna put in a water trough for them as well, just so they don't have to go. They can drink from the lake, but so they don't have to go way down to that every time. We'll also put a water trough here on the other end of the habitat. That seems nice. So the water trough automatically comes filled, but the food troughs, as you can see, they start out empty. Not to worry, don't fret. Food is always being imported from your loading bay. You just need someone to distribute it. So we're gonna need some staff. Let's go in here to the staff menu and hire a keeper, which will bring food to the animals and also clean up the enclosures when they need to. Let's hire Joshua here. Already comes at level 2, so he's gonna be a little bit better. And I'm going to hire a laborer right away as well, Vanessa here, because they help distribute resources around the park. It's gonna be very nice very quickly down the line. Now we have a couple of staff. The keeper will start to bring food to the enclosure and fill up the bowls, but of course have to physically walk there, so it's probably gonna take a second. Here he comes. You can see he has his wheelbarrow full of feed for one of the feeders. Speed him up a little. Oh, there's feed in the enclosure. And there we go, the alert went away. As you can see, he can only fill up 1 feeder at a time, which is fine in this case. We have 3 baby raptors, they don't eat that much. But going forward, especially once you get larger habitats, you're probably going to need more than 1 keeper to make sure the animals are satisfied. And you can see here the other feeders that are not yet filled. Now, aside from the basic food troughs, the animals would also be very appreciative of some enrichment. It already enriches them a little that they have all 3 of their food groups available to them. They can technically survive on just one of them, say insects or meat or fish, but they'll be happier if they have all 3. And then in addition to that, if we go into their Paleopedia here again, you can see they have these enrichment items. These are also a type of feeders. There's less food in each enrichment item than there is in the food bowl, but it does add more to the enrichment if they're eating from them. So let's put a couple of those in here. Maybe this faux rib cage would be pretty cool. Let's put that somewhere central and easily visible to the guests. That'll entice the animals out here where the guests can easily view them. So that'll be good. And maybe we also give them a termite mound to get some insects from. Could also be here right next to the fence. Yeah, that looks nice. So now they have some food, they have some enrichment. If we go into that tab here again, The only thing they seem to still be needing is some bedding. So let's add a couple of beddings in here to their stable. Let's see, say stack. So it's automatically placed on top of the floor here. Let's just put in a... There you can see it automatically assumed that I wanted to go into the group. So now this bedding is going to be part of the stable, which is actually pretty neat for us. Let's just put a couple of those down. And let's put in a small nest as well, because when they grow up, we might be able to get them to breed. There we go. Of course, for them to breed, we need another pretty important thing that we don't have yet, which is males. Right now we only have 3 females in here. Luckily, I have off-screen already done the prerequisite research perk that allows us to make males. This is that one here. So if we go into this the screen here, see the Velociraptor, we can now create both males and females. And I've actually also researched the perk that allows us to choose different skins, so you can really get a look at just how cool these animals can look. Yeah. And for our male here, I think I'm gonna go with this really gorgeous skin. But again, we're gonna start him off as a baby. And now I can plop him into the game. Here he is, ready to go play with the other little baby raptors. Of course, he's gonna lag a little bit behind the others because he's younger, but that's fine. They'll all grow up eventually. Some animals grow up a lot slower than others in this game. The raptors grow up relatively fast. Turning to nighttime, I can see, so let's turn on the light again. Alright, well now we've basically satisfied the animals' needs, and we have a keeper to take care of them. I think we can go on, continue to sprucing up the habitat a little. Because there's a bunch more things you can do with the modular building system that I didn't get around to last time. I figured it was better to spread it out a little. So let's continue to do that a little. If we go over here to our little oasis pond, we've already made it pretty nice, I think. But it can be better. If we look at how the foliage is placed around it, the palms, the bushes here, it's all pretty random. So maybe if we go in and we just adjust it a little bit. That already looks a little better. Instead of having one big cluster of bushes here, maybe I take one of them, and if I say align to surface, it can sort of grow up the side of a hill here. That looks a little better. I would really like to have some plants around the side of the oasis, the pond. It's very common to have like some reeds growing. I think I want to do that. So there's a bunch of very nice reeds in here in the wetland tab. Let's put one down. Looks quite nice. The problem is, if I now go into my raptor and check their landscape habitat needs, you can see they really don't like wetland. They have an adequate amount of forest. They could use more Mesozoic plants, but that's not something they necessarily need. It just adds to the enrichment and the rating of the habitat, which will make the guests more excited to see it. So it's like a nice to have, not a need to have. But they really don't like wetland plants. Luckily, if we go in here and click here on the wetland biome over the little sad smiley, I can immediately go... Oh, hold on. Yeah, occasionally it bugs out. If it works as intended, this brush should only remove wetland plants and none of the other ones. But I can also just, since I know I just added one, I can just remove it manually. Okay, but I really wanted some reeds. It's a shame there aren't any that fits with the kind of biomes they like. Luckily, I have a solution for you. See, if you go in here, there's this other tab right beside foliage, which is the gardening tab. And the plants in the gardening tab, they don't count as being from a specific biome. So in here you have the elephant grass, for example, which looks a lot like reeds, but aren't in fact reeds for the purposes of the biome needs of the animals. So I can just sort of plop a couple of those down and use them to simulate reeds to still get that same look that I was looking for. Much nicer. Now we have a proper little oasis. You can do a whole lot with this system. I quite recommend not just going with the basic brushes that the game has, but go in and customize your brush selection so you get exactly the plants down that you want. And secondly, I also do recommend after you've placed them down, sort of edit them around a little bit manually, and perhaps manually add some extra plants directly from the modular building tab, because sort of intentional placement, while not necessary, will often make your habitat look a lot cooler and often also more realistic. Another thing that really helps is continuity. So we've made these big cliffs on one side of the habitat, but it's completely empty everywhere else. So I think I'm gonna take a couple of these cliff pieces here and copy them over, so we also get some of the other side. Sink a little bit of this in. Yeah, and even though I'm just like reusing the same two pieces I used on the other side, the fact that I can sort of adjust it around already make it look a lot different, I think. Now we have a bit more continuity. Another thing you can do, which I really like to do, is aside from the big rocks here, you also got these very lovely rock clusters. They are sort of if you just place them down as is, it just looks like a big pile of rocks sort of fused together. It looks a little bit weird. But if I instead go take them, make sure I have random rotation and random scale, as well as align to surface on, I can put down like a whole bunch of them. Practically can't go too much with these ones. And I'm not just placing them anywhere. I'm doing it sort of around the foot of the bigger cliffs, and also sort of here around the pond a little. It's all looking very nice. Now, as you can see, I did that all in one group. So what I do is I leave the group, select advanced move, and then I just sink the whole thing into the ground until all the different clusters are just poking through. That'll give it much more sort of a gravel effect, just adding a little bit more texture to the habitat. As you can see, I may have to, since they have all at slightly different angles and sizes, I might have to edit a few of them a little bit more sort of individually to really get the look nice. Like this here maybe, and then pulling this one on the other hand up a little bit. You can do this for hours and hours if you want. If you want to make it a little easier on yourself, I recommend actually turning random scale off and just having random rotation, because that way when you sink them into the ground, they're gonna poke out about as equally as much, each of them, so you don't have ones that are still way too visible, like perhaps this one over here, while others are practically gone, like this one here. But I mean, that's a matter of preference. To show off a few more building tricks, I've decided I'm going to redo the Velociraptor stable that we built last time, because it is a bit basic. So I'm just gonna transition to a little bit of speed building here, not too fast, so hopefully you can follow along. Right, adding a bit more theming here. The Velociraptors come from Mongolia, that's where they lived. And so I'm trying to build them a little yurt, a traditional form of Mongolian sort of hut or tent. And as you can see, I'm using the wall pieces as guidelines for placing in these canvas pieces, so I'm sure they have the right shape and size. And the same with the roof piece there, so it's lined nicely. That'll make it a lot easier to do what I'm going to do next, which you see me here. Then I copy them around with the wall pieces, the roof pieces, then delete them, and then using advanced move rotate, I can rotate them around to cover the whole thing. But as you can see, I didn't get the width quite right, so they overlapped a little bit, so I had to go back. And I also realized I wanted some pulls in the corners, and to do that you can see this pull piece that snaps to the corner of each grid square, so I use that as my base and then copy an advanced stick on top of that to give me my pull, and then again copying around, didn't quite work out either. And then finally here you see the right try where I got the size exactly right to what I wanted. Now a little opening for the raptors to get in, and there we have a lovely little yurt for them to stay in. Would you look at that? That's a lovely little home for them. I've re-added their bedding in there. Can't wait to see them use it. The raptors seem happy and content. So with that, I think we've covered the basics of animal care. Next time we are gonna go over all the rest, which is to say, caring for the guests and the economy of our park. If you liked this video, please like. And if there's something you're still curious about or feel that I didn't cover, please comment down below. And if there's something you really want me to cover in the next part, please comment about that as well. Otherwise, take care of yourselves, wonderful people. Have a good one.